Twinkie tits.
Hello everyone, my name is TurboTony19 and we're going to talk about some wrestling here today. I'm here with the very man that the minds used to predict that the world would end in 2012.
What?
Yeah.
I'm such a good carver, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, we're here with Matt, you know this by now. So, it's going to be a shortest episode here today. We've got a bit of catching up to do. We were going to do something a little bit different for this episode, which is going to be like, I won't even tell you what it is, but we'll do that in our next video. But this is just a catch-up because we missed a few weeks of Raw, and just to tell you our thoughts of it. So we're literally just going to do the Raw recap this week, and we might do a little bit more later on during the week, especially with Royal Rumble coming up. But there's a lot to get through, really, just with Raw itself, and I think a good 40 minutes of our normal conversations is just Raw, really, isn't it? So
generally,
yeah,
the way it works out.
Yeah. So no buttons on the top of the screen. I'll put some buttons up saying that I'm awesome, just so I can, because I can do that, because I'm awesome, and I also put Matt was wrong because he didn't predict it correctly that the world would end in 2012, so yeah.
Ah, well.
Okay. Moving on. Raw. We missed two Raws. We'll just go through the overall theme of what's happened, the big talking points, really, especially with SmackDown as well. It's not really a Raw recap because a lot of it has to do with SmackDown. We had the World Heavyweight title change, we had a Divas title change, and we got the entire saga that's beginning with The Rock and CM Punk.
Really kicking off.
Yeah, so out of those three main talking points, what would you like to speak about first?
We'll go with The Rock. Why not?
Yeah, go for the biggest one first, why not?
Oh, yeah.
So we're really, first thing before we start off talking about this, I'm one of those people that, when this whole thing started up with The Rock and CM Punk, Rock and John Cena, sorry.
Yeah.
And they were having their promos backwards and forwards. It was, I didn't really like sort of like the fan reactions that a lot of people were having where they were going, oh, he beat him this week, he beat him that week, and it was like a very much him versus him on the mic sort of situation.
Yeah.
And it seems to have devolved in that a little bit that way as well. I mean, how would you, like, just to get out of the way, how would you rank each person on the mic these last couple of weeks?
It's kind of difficult, isn't it? Because The Rock is the sort of mic worker that is actively going out there just to make people laugh and sort of generally just cheer along with him. It's the real sort of heel versus face sort of mic work. Because, and then out comes CM Punk playing absolute heel, slating everyone to the ground.
Yeah.
And it's that, I'd say that Punk is still the better on the mic, just because I think he's an amazing heel mic worker. And The Rock, it's still The Rock.
Yeah.
And especially recently, it's like another pipe bomb. I wouldn't put it as good as, obviously, Vegas, where he decided to take a seat on the Titantron, but it was still a good and it's a well done promo.
Yeah.
Because it's the sort of stuff that proper wrestling fans, I don't want to say it, and marks and the internet community.
Yeah.
Like, he made so many good points, like, you know, why do we have the Divas match when, I can't remember his name now. Not Kurt Hawkins. It was the dickhead who used to have the tuft of hair.
Oh, Tyson Kidd, yeah.
Yeah, like Tyson Kidd's like a proper workhorse, and he doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
And he made good points that pretty much anyone could agree with.
Oh, I would agree with you there, and I think that the difference between this rivalry and what he was saying there is that it's very clean cut who's the face and who's the heel in this rivalry, whereas the difference between that and The Rock and John Cena is that both of them were face going into that, so it's a lot easier, I think. Like this, the whole rivalry, I think, with CM Punk meshes better with The Rock, because CM Punk doesn't have to appeal to anyone. Like, he's not fighting for any fans' affection. He can just go way off the other side and be as heel as he likes, you know what I mean? And that definitely showed with his promo. I mean, yeah, it was you know, in the category of pipe bomb / promo, you know what I mean? But it was very down to earth, and you know, you can tell that some of the stuff he was saying was some of the stuff he genuinely believed.
Yeah.
And that's some of the best. That's where some of the best promos come from. You know, when they come, you know, not from scripting, they come genuinely from what you feel. I think, like, as you'd say, I mean, I would agree. Punk is better on the mic. The Rock is using. It's the same formula with The Rock. It works, but it's the same formula that he uses with the majority of his promos. But the one thing I would say about The Rock, and I'm a big Rock fan. I'm not going to slate the guy. He's a legend. He's going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's one of the biggest draws in wrestling history. But his Rock concert, I was very disappointed in that because I found it to be.
I'm against you on that. I was in stitches when he was slating Vicky. I was in stitches.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah. The fact is, like, when I look at it, I look at when the back at the ones that he did. Even the one that he did against John Cena was better. It was longer and it had a lot more to it. And when the one he did it when he was dissing Sacramento was absolutely fantastic. This is when he was a heel, you got to remember.
Yeah.
And the response he got was one of the biggest ones I've ever heard in a crowd. They hated him after what he said.
Yeah.
And so I just thought especially with the length of the promo, there wasn't much really there, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
and,
not a lot brought to it.
Yeah, and when he did eventually call out CM Punk, it wasn't like Rock concert, it was pretty clean cut. But
yeah.
I mean, obviously, do you think it's a lot better of a promo than I'm making it out to be, or?
Just laugh. The fact that I was just laughing at Vicky. No, I mean, I don't actually think when it actually came down to Punk and The Rock in the ring, it wasn't. It was literally Rock's moment to pick fun at Vicky than it was actually to sort of continue to sell the story.
Yeah.
I think it's just simply because the story doesn't really need selling that much.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I thought as well that the whole brawl was made so when they make these video packages before the match at Royal Rumble or to sell Royal Rumble,
it's something of those two scrapping.
Yeah, and that's what you mean. And yeah, The Rock got the rock bottom in, but it's like, it's like what they did when Brock Lesnar went against John Cena, where they had all the people come and stop. It kind of builds up that big fight sort of feel to it. You know what I mean? That these two giants can't be held back. This is when they're going to go against each other, and that's how it's going to go. So, I mean, I know we're not going to do predictions or anything for the match. We'll leave that for next week. We always do our predictions a couple of days before the actual event.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in doing predictions this early on because such a huge amount of change, especially over the last couple of Raws and SmackDowns. Jesus, man, like the amount of title changes, everything. We'll go into that a little bit more, but yeah, I mean, I'm enjoying this rivalry a lot more than I was with the Rock and Cena.
Yeah.
Just because, as I said before, I think it meshes better and it kind of fuses together better because of the general wrestling dynamic that is.
It's not so much to use the description of it, but like Rock and Cena was who is the real People's Champion.
Yeah.
And now now we know it's The Rock. It's the People's Champion coming up against, the person who is doing nothing but slate the people.
Yeah. It fits, doesn't it? Like,
yeah.
It just comes together very well, and I'm glad that they went with this. And the only thing is, I don't want to go too much into our plans for WrestleMania. That's going to be an entirely different video. But it does look like eventually what they're going to do is that the Rock and Cena are probably going to have a rematch at WrestleMania. But I think this is just up there. I think this is up there in terms of big rivalries. That if they chose to make Rock and CM Punk at WrestleMania, I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. I think that would be just as good, if not better, than anything that Cena and Rock can conjure up, especially now. So yeah, I mean, I'm very excited. I mean, Royal Rumble as an event overall. I mean, I'm always excited to watch Royal Rumble. It's one of my most favourite events. I actually some years I've got more excited for Royal Rumble than I have for the WrestleManias. So it's serving up to be a big event. I mean, that's a big title match, The Rock against CM Punk. On a show that already has the Royal Rumble, which is a huge marquee match, so that's going to be really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'm liking the mix between the two. They obviously got chemistry on their promos. You could see that from the first one. It's not as if, like a lot of people were saying as well, that The Rock got owned in the first promo. Personally, I couldn't see that.
I went into that theory.
Yeah, I mean, Punk was obviously better quality on the mic, but he never slated Rock to the point of being owned or anything like that.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. But I mean, are you under the same sort of thought of that? I mean, do you think that? I mean, a lot of people have got behind CM Punk because he is the internet wrestling community darling, isn't he? He's the guy that everyone gets behind, and The Rock is isn't really there. But I mean, would you agree with me with that?
I guess I kind of would. It's I was really just repeating myself because obviously just the difference between them all. It's not. It's just more Punk coming out saying what people want heard.
Yeah.
But whereas being just such a dick about it, he's getting himself over as a heel because anyone who turns around and says, "Everyone here, you're all shit."
Yeah.
And that's just instant heel, and that's all he's practically doing. Like every time he's coming out now.
Yeah.
It is really just more opportunities to Punk to sort of drive himself deeper into the litanies of hate and like everyone else, and The Rock to really come himself out as like, I'm just like, basically I'm coming here just to finish it all.
Yeah.
Just shut him up. It's like, and it's the one thing I quite like is the fact that none of them are actually turning around saying like, oh, it's not the fact that I'm slating you for being, holding the title for like 420 days. I'm not here to do that. I'm just here because I don't like you.
Yeah, that's it. And like I said, with this event, as I said before, I'm looking forward to them two going against each other and building up this good rivalry and everything. And the fact that obviously you throw the title into the mix, as you said, the rivalry and everything, and it's, I think it's almost like they're set into these. Like I found that John Cena last year in his rivalry with The Rock, he seems very uncomfortable with the fact that he wasn't specifically taken as the top face. Now, some people might disagree with me with that. That's fine. It's down to to your opinion. But when it comes to The Rock and CM Punk, The Rock is so comfortable being the face in this rivalry.
Yeah, it's not the fact that it's not face versus face. It's like proper old school good versus bad.
Yeah, and like definitely that CM Punk is more than comfortable than being the heel in this environment.
Yeah.
So it's made. I think it meshes better, like I said, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do more. I think in terms of promos, they've done quite well. I'd like for them to do something really big on Raw coming up to
old, like the Monday before sort of thing.
Yeah, which they had to do because if you remember, we were quite critical of the Raw that was before the last event, saying it was very poor, like one of the most poorest Raws we'd seen for building up to an event. So this would be a time for them to really build up, especially coming up to WrestleMania time. And talking about WrestleMania time would be a good time for us to talk about this. This kind of proves me right as well. One of the things I was saying a couple of weeks ago, that you're going to see some really radical changes in the landscape of WWE, and this kind of goes into our next conversation, which is about Del Rio winning the championship. I don't think
title changes. Yeah,
I don't think there's anyone a couple of weeks ago that would have thought that this would be the case, because the rivalry literally started when Ricardo for Big Show at Raw.
Yeah, it's such a quick turnaround, isn't it? His face to his heel to face.
Yeah, and then his title win as being a face as well. So obviously they've got plans deep set in that they want Del Rio to be at the forefront of the build-up to WrestleMania, and Big Show, unfortunately, is probably not going to be that. He's probably going to be taking a back burner coming up to WrestleMania. So it's interesting now to see kind of like where they're going with this, and the fact that they're going to try and nail down Del Rio as champion, where they're going to build that forward. This goes back to the thing as well that we were talking about them breaking the news of Barrett winning the title early. They did the same here. Which has got a lot of people thinking, what are they doing? And I don't want to repeat too much of what was in our last conversation, but do you think this is going to become a regular thing now?
I don't want it to be a regular thing, because it's just, it has changed.
Yeah.
Well, what's even the point of fucking airing it?
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, I watched SmackDown because the Raw was because Rock was going to be there, and the fact is that I watched it for that. But if I had watched it and watched it all the way through, which I did, and then saw Del Rio win the title without knowing what was going to happen, that would have been even more monumental. You know what I mean?
For the fact that it's just like, The Rock's going to be there. And I may as well see Del Rio's win, see what actually happened. If it was actually like an oh my god, like I had no fucking clue. It's the downside though. It's the internet community shooting itself in the foot. Because WWE want to release it all out just to keep everyone online happy.
Yeah.
But then as a result, it's if somebody's there for the taping of SmackDown on the Tuesday night, then it's just like, so and so did this, so and so did that, and then suddenly the whole world knows about it, and that's it. Like, we got right. Like, if WWE want to turn around and say, we need to write a story that is a real shock, a real game changer, nobody can really foresee it happening, and then just have essentially the ending just spoiled. It's just like, yes, all this, and like nobody will understand. Then somebody just pops in, goes, Del Rio wins.
Yeah. I know, yeah, I mean, I think there's a big difference, though, from these internet wrestling sites doing the news, as they've done for years, and, you know, breaking these news and everything on these tapings. There's a difference with that and the WWE outright telling the generic wrestling audience what the result is going to be. Because if... For you and me, fair enough. I would say we're in the category of hardcore wrestling fans. Okay, we follow the product. We follow the backstage. We've done wrestling before. You know, people know this from you know our first episode. I've said our credentials that we've wrestled in matches before. We know a lot of wrestlers. We know the British wrestling scene. So I would class it in that. But with that being said, the generic wrestling fan, let's say my wife, for example, who wouldn't look at those things, but might watch SmackDown, the shock is completely gone, because you go on their Facebook, it's plastered all over there. You go on their website, it's plastered Del Rio as the new champion. There's a big difference from that, from it to be like on these wrestling sites and then being plastered all over Facebook and Twitter and all the other bloody social media things that they're plugging, you know. So I'll put it to you. I'll ask you this question. Okay, this is a tough one. Do you think maybe they're announcing these results on SmackDown because they think that maybe no one, you know, the majority of their audience don't watch SmackDown, and therefore they want to get the news out for Raw?
It was still a bit early to go releasing it for Raw. It's just like I just have a problem with it. It's just like, oh, we need to try and keep SmackDown afloat, but I don't think just breaking out the news of any title change or anything like that is a good way to go around it.
Yeah.
If you say, oh, if you had watched SmackDown, you would have seen, oh, maybe I should watch SmackDown a bit more often.
Yeah.
Rather than literally just like, oh, it happened.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
No, I agree. I personally don't want to see this happening again, but it seems to be a running theme. And I mean, I know it's only a couple of events in a row, and the fact is that they did the Raw one because it was taped beforehand anyway, and all this lot. And obviously, if any big title changes happen on Raw, they're not going to be able to break it because it's live. So, you know what I mean? Unless they're going to tell us outright, which a lot of the wrestling meme sites have been doing, that they're just going to tell people like 6 months in advance who's going to win the title, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. But what would you, I mean? The breaking of the news aside, what do you think of Del Rio winning the title?
I don't know. I genuinely don't really hold much of an opinion on it. I like the Del Rio as the champion, and unfortunately, after watching Raw, Big Show's now become the whingy little bitch. I hate heel champions who do that.
He seems to have regressed a bit, hasn't he? Like, he was
I'm the giant,
he
cheated.
What the bit in this as well that I was very frustrated with is that he mentions his ironclad contract, and then he still suckers up to Mr. McMahon. It's like, if you say you've got an ironclad contract, why would you need to sucker up to Mr. McMahon? He can't fire you, and that was the whole point of him getting his iron. So it was a little bit like contradictory. But yeah, I think that the monster Big Show run as champion has definitely ended now, and he's going to be losing matches. But yeah, I mean, it's okay. I mean, the thing is, like we've been saying beforehand, is that if they were going to get Del Rio to win the title, why did they not wait until Royal Rumble for him to win the title? It seems really odd that they would do it on SmackDown. Maybe they, like I said, they tend to do this around about this time where they want to nail down their storylines leading up to that sort of period. So yeah, it's a little bit odd, but you know, it's not much you can do about it now. I mean, they're not going to change the title every week along those lines, and obviously, like I said, they want plans with Del Rio for WrestleMania. That's why they've made him champion, and he's going to be now, I imagine, the top face of that brand of SmackDown that they're going to build towards.
It's definitely pushing that way. I mean, the one thing I've noticed is so Del Rio's now going to the top name, and then Randy Orton's still being left behind.
Yeah.
I feel like it's a good win for Wade Barrett, and I like the fact that Wade Barrett's getting good wins, but Randy Orton's slowly slipping down.
Yeah. But that being said, though, I think with Randy Orton, that one of those things is that I could kind of see where they could go with this, that him losing these matches, right, is a difference. If he was winning the odd these matches than losing the odd match, then you kind of know that they don't really have much of a plan for him. The fact is that he's being attacked a lot by the Shield. He's losing these matches fair and square. He lost clean to Barrett. That maybe this heel turn is probably around the corner, and I think that's you and me. But what we said with Randy Orton for a long time, that if you've got no plans to do anything with Randy Orton, you've got a shortage of really devastating heels on SmackDown. Just make him go well off the other side. They could have easily, if they knew that they were going to have Trent Beretta released from his contract, which he was, they could have done a heel turn. Randy Orton punted him, just literally ended his career in wrestling, and you could say that. And that would have been a good way to make him heel, that he, this rising star, and he's just ended his career. What the hell is wrong with Randy Orton? He's gone off the kilter and he's gone mad. But I
don't know how many times they can literally fall back on Randy Orton's crazy. Don't forget.
Yeah.
They can't really fall back on that much. Especially considering if he did do that, he'd have to try and up, Orton versus the McMahons. If he went on, if they had to resort to going for a crazy turn.
Yeah. Well,
he's lost so much. The voices are back. Yeah, but it won't be as impressive as when he DDT'd Stephanie.
Yeah, I know he'll never reach those heights again. But I mean, if he does do that and he goes to SmackDown, it doesn't need to be a man. He could go against Booker T, and the establishment of SmackDown and all this lot, and then he could do his thing where he wrestles the heel. But that will be just something that goes along eventually as the plan continues. You know what I mean? So that would be just how it goes forward with Randy Orton. The last thing I want to talk about as well is something that really came up very quickly and very. If you had followed Dirt Sheets, you'd known that Eva's gone. She's left the company, and it was very.
Spoiler.
Yeah.
I hadn't read the Dirt Sheets, so I had no idea.
Yeah, it was announced. Now, granted, it wasn't announced on the Dirt Sheets very early. It wasn't announced on the Dirt Sheets at least until a couple of days before the event that she was leaving. Apparently it had been in the works that she was leaving, but it was if and ahhing whether she was going to be there until Royal Rumble. And then that. It was actually one of the things I do want to know. I know we're heavily critical of the Divas division. The actual title change match was a fairly decent one.
I thought that. I was like, they're trying for a good match.
Yeah.
Caitlyn got thrown against the barriers and everything. I was like, and that was quite a dirty spear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, it was a very good one. And I think the overall match as well, it sort of told its story in its own right. I thought the finish was very, very good when she snuck in behind, hit that spear, nailed it completely.
Sight sort of thing.
Yeah.
One thing I did quite like is right at the beginning, I did see a sign in the crowd that said "Restroom Break."
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Maybe you
imagine. I'd hate to Obviously, I can't imagine myself as a diva, but just be any wrestler and just think that's the time of the night where everyone just fucks off.
Yeah.
With a sign that says "bye." It's like,
maybe they've been listening to you, Matt. Maybe you've got a few fans out there that are making signs with your patented phrasing, "bathroom break." So yeah, but like I said, I was quite impressed with their match, and it was a good title change. I can only hope that. With Eve leaving, which is a shame because she was actually one of the more decent wrestlers that they had on the roster, that maybe that they're going to see this as a sign and start promoting some of this very good NXT Diva talent that they've got and just push them up to go against Caitlyn, because Caitlyn's quite a relatively new diva. She has been around for ages, I said this a couple of weeks ago that Caitlyn can go. She can make a good match, and that proved on Raw that if they get the time and with the right divas. Now, I'm not talking about if you give Alicia Fox and Axana a 10-minute match, they aren't going to perform for 10 minutes. I'm going to say, in a 10 minutes, they're not going to perform for any of that time. But if you give it to the right people, the right divas, then they're going to make that time worthwhile. They can
fill that 10 minutes,
So I hope that WWE see that and they'll push forward.
This could be the turnaround that the Divas division actually really needs.
Yeah. I would agree with that. And like I said, if she was going to lose it to anyone on the roster, I'm glad it was Caitlyn, because they're kind of building up to this rivalry.
Yeah. I've sort of noticed how Layla's sort of slipped to the wayside.
Yeah. But, we're going to see now. I mean, the Divas division probably will take a little bit of a downturn next couple of weeks because in favour of, Royal Rumble, leading to WrestleMania. You're going to know if they have any big plans for the Diva division if they genuinely try and make a storyline to fit in with all these extra stuff that's going on. So it'll be interesting to see if they do that, if they're going to build up towards... I'd like them for WrestleMania to build towards a very clean. Like, you've got Caitlyn as champion. Pick another wrestler that you want to build up a big rivalry, and don't make a gimmicky match where like it's a 6-on-6 Divas tag team match. Make it a 1-on-1 match and give them some time in the ring.
Make it a match.
Yeah, like give them a proper Divas match that they could do something with at WrestleMania, and let's say that they're both game for it. Do something that's never been done before. If you want to do like now albeit a very light side, but do it like a Divas hardcore match. The fact is that it's
just
not
mix it up a bit.
Mix it up a bit. It make it interesting, something worth watching, and then you go. That's something good for the Divas division. I'm not saying it has to be like a hardcore match. It could be Falls Count Anywhere match, which would be interesting. It could be
last man standing.
Last woman standing
match.
It could be the first ever last woman standing, and that would be a good gimmick to sell. I think that would be a good idea for them to do along those lines. Anyway. Obviously, there's a few other talking points on Raw. We'll just rush through them quickly. We've got the whole sort of Dolph Ziggler and John Cena storyline, which is pretty much now in the. I think you would agree with me with this, that it's in the. We've got nothing else to do with these wrestlers, so we're just stretching out their rivalry a little bit.
I think it's just playing itself out at the moment. I think it's safe to say, and I'll be glad when it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing is, the only time I think it's really going to be done is when Ziggler cashes in.
Yeah, but I won't have anything.
That essentially just pushes him out of the story that he's currently stuck with.
Yeah, with John Cena. And one of the things I want to talk about as well is that Jesus,
it wasn't a bad match.
I'm not stuck in the quality of the match. The match was good, but Jesus, was it the return of Super Cena or what? Like
that DDT, ridiculous.
Yeah, and the fact is that he kicked out of every single one of Ziggler's finishes, and that's all well and good for Cena. But if you're trying to push Ziggler, he's lost a lot of matches to John Cena now, and they've all been matches where he's hit all his finishes and John Cena's kicked out. So it's looked bad on Ziggler. So it's a little bit like, if you're looking to push Ziggler, why? I understand that you probably want to make Cena going big into WrestleMania, but if that was the case, and maybe it would have been time to break them away and make a little mini rivalry with Ziggler with someone else where they could both get over. If you're looking to push them both, it just seemed a bit odd to me that that's there, and
that's the way they want to take it.
That's the way they want to take it. But obviously now they're going to start building John Cena up big time. You can expect more victories like that leading up to Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I very much doubt there's going to be many losses, if at all, that he has on the run up to WrestleMania now.
No, that's true. I mean, the one thing I'm kind of curious with is obviously Mick Foley got inducted into this year's Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Well deserved.
And out came the Shield.
Yeah.
And I'm sort of thinking with Ryback, and he's now with this whole feed me Shield. It's like, I've given up on anything else. This lot, I have to take care of them.
Yeah.
So I'm curious how they're going to do that, because they can't really do like 1-on-3, because they've proven it time and time again that the Shield will not be outbeaten.
Yeah.
Will not be beaten if you've got the three of them free to attack.
Yeah.
Now I'm sort of thinking, or maybe just take it and do like some sort of like elimination chambery sort of thing.
Oh, what, like almost like a gauntlet match sort of thing?
Match.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's probably going to be the only way. Like, give it a bit of a Royal Rumble elimination chamber. Like, if Ryback doesn't take care of Rollins quick enough, Reigns is going to turn up.
That sort of thing. Yeah.
It's the only way I can really see it working.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's literally going to be ding, ding, ding. Oh, Ryback's in the corner.
Yeah.
Getting kicked.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And if they do build towards this Ryback against Shield sort of match, which it seems to be like they were going to do, because I think it would be wrong for them to build up against another, like, okay, it didn't work with Daniel Bryan and Kane, so we'll get Randy Orton and another dude, Sheamus to come in. I think that if they do this and they make it so Ryback beats them 1-on-3, that is the wrong way, because all the way till this, it's exactly what you said. It's where Ryback's tried to fight them, but the numbers game always comes up paramount. And this is one of the things that I was heavily disliked about John Cena's rivalry with the Nexus, is that the entire rivalry, Nexus numbers game always worked, and so it should.
Yeah.
But at the end of it, suddenly it didn't matter anymore, and John Cena just eliminated and destroyed them all.
turn into Super Cena and off he went. Yeah,
and it was unrealistic. Like, no, I didn't buy into it, and I don't think the majority of other people bought into it. But if they do it like you say, where it gives Ryback more of a chance to face these guys one-on-one, and if he beats them then and makes the, hurts them a little bit, then that's more realistic. If they get creative with the match type. But it's WWE, and I fear that they'll do it, that Ryback beats all three of them in a single match in just a 1-on-3 match.
Like a 3, which
would be the wrong thing to do. It really would.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, because they could do it. It's just like how, like if they did it right, like they could even have Ryback beat them when all three of them are out. If we went on that whole sort of 5-minute gauntlet sort of thing, if they're still there, then it's 2-on-1. Like he could literally be beating on, like, maybe Reigns, because he could take a bit more of a pounding than Rollins and Ambrose, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
And they could sell that a bit better. But he could literally just be beating on Reigns, going to and fro.
Yeah.
Rollins comes in. Numbers game, not so much, but Reigns is pretty fucked up, so he's not getting in so much, but still the occasional numbers game.
Yeah, but you could make it that Ryback.
Yeah, literally by the time like Ambrose turns out, both Reigns and Rollins are pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that's it. And you can have it. You can even like this goes into the storytelling part of wrestling, which seems to be a lost art in matches recently.
Yeah,
where they could have it that let's say the first guy comes in, like you say, is Reigns, and Ryback just decimates his knee or something like that. Yeah. So the guy can barely stand. So every now and then he comes in, breaks a pin, but he's essentially injured and like he's only like half man.
Yeah.
And you could make it that he even does that against one of the other guys, or maybe he busts one of them open, so they're just basically oozing out blood. I know they won't do that, but this is just ideas that they could do to sell it a little bit better, because it seems like this is what they're going to be building up to. We could be wrong, and they might have a completely different plan, but I still enjoy the Shield, and the fact is that whenever they come onto the screen, I am excited to see what's going to happen.
I'm loving the Shield.
Yeah,
I know quite a few people who are like, it's like a friend of mine. He basically we were watching SmackDown the other night actually, and he was like, "Oh, the Shield, they're so annoying," and that lot is like they're perfect.
Yeah.
The Shield are amazing.
Yeah.
Because they like, oh, it's all an injustice, and but they were actually just always beating on Punk all the time. It's like, yeah, but if you think about it, they got involved in the TLC match, yeah, but what was the first reason that they attacked Ryback to begin with?
Yeah.
Because Punk's defending his title against Ryback.
Yeah.
It's essentially just WWE just feeding the flames. We'll just put Ryback against Punk, keeps the Shield involved, TV top.
Yeah, that's it, and you're exactly right, and I do enjoy when they're on the screen, and like I said, this Ryback Shield storyline is one that I'm quite interested in. I would like it to eventually, like I think you said the perfect way that I like it to go, where Ryback's like, I don't want anyone else involved, it's me against the Shield. On my terms, let's just do this, you know what I mean, and do it like that. And that way, it doesn't even, like, I mean, Ryback's lost a lot of pay-per-view matches at this point, and a lot of big matches. That would be the one to really change his fortunes in those big match situations. That they could sell that, you know what I mean? So, that, like I said, I completely agree. And there is a lot of talking points from Raw. A few that we probably missed. There was a lot that happened the last couple of weeks, especially with The Rock coming back, and also it was the 20th anniversary of Raw. I'll finish with this as our last subject as well, and I'll say this to you so we can have a brief chat about it. But when it comes to the 20th anniversary of Raw, which was supposed to be a big celebration, do you feel that it wasn't even close to matching the 1000th episode of Raw?
No, not even. Doesn't even hold a candle. Like, oh, look at this video clip. And I'm sick of watching. Whenever they think from Raw in the past, Bob Barkland. I fucking hated that Price is Right episode.
But they keep airing it over and over again, don't they?
It's like, was he dead or something? It's like, it's a tribute.
Yeah.
But no. 1000th episode, you had so many of the legends running around. We didn't even get a damn.
Yeah.
We did. It was in a video.
Yeah, that's it, yeah.
But that's just... it's like the 20th anniversary. I'm pretty sure that's bigger than the 1000th episode.
Yeah, that's what I thought as well.
I understand that 1000 episodes is a milestone, but 20 years as a weekly episodic television program.
Yeah.
That's a fucking achievement.
Yeah, it is. I was a little bit disappointed that they didn't go all out, and I know they had the steel cage match, and that was fine, but it's not as if they went crazy with the steel cage. It was an average steel cage match. So,
but Finlay and Arn Anderson were there.
Yeah, and I missed them completely. I didn't even know they were there. And you sent me a picture. I was like, "Oh, he was there!" Like, he was like, right in front of me.
Arn Anderson was holding back Punk.
Yeah, and like that even shows it. Like, if Arn Anderson and Finlay were there, why not give them a small segment on the 20th anniversary of Raw? Come on, like,
at least mention.
Yeah, like
they're trying to fight him back. It's like,
yeah.
And who's trying to fight him back? Oh, the officials and a referee and. Come on.
Yeah.
No, Finlay and Arn Anderson just there.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much wraps it up there for today. I've already run in a little bit over my time. Sorry,
it's not it's a final note, but not necessarily to cue into discussion. I'm just enjoying 3MB getting their ass kicked quite a lot recently.
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
But you know you are a slater and you will slate. So, so yeah, if you guys enjoyed this video, it was a little impromptu, it's a little bit different. We are going to do another video, which will be soon. It's going to be a little bit different. We've been planning it for a while. We're very excited to do it. It's going to be a little bit humorous, and I hope you guys enjoy that. And if we, like I said, we've been struggling getting time to record these episodes, so just bear in mind that we will catch up eventually, and we'll definitely do our predictions for next week. But thanks a lot for waiting and watching the videos. Thanks for supporting our videos. We're doing very well with our videos. We quite like that, and we're getting a bit of response from you guys, so we appreciate that. And if you could leave the video a like, that would really, beef me up. Do more editing and all the sort of thing. That would make me happy.
Comment, subscribe, all that social media jazz.
All that social media jazz. So, but yeah, I'll leave it short and sweet. Thanks a lot for watching, and we'll see you again in the next episode of Let's Talk Wrestling.
Catch you soon, guys.
Bye.